I'm not a ranger yet, but I will be in the future.
Once a ranger,
Always a ranger.
Welcome back to Once a Ranger. This week we're going to be talking about Life's a Masquerade, Gung Ho, and Wheel of Misfortune. So I will be catching up to the episode that I missed last week, and this is the one I watched instead. So this is the Halloween episode, Life's Masquerade. Akil, let's start with your opinions on this one.
Oh, this is probably the best episode of Power Rangers I've seen so far.
It was so cool. It was so much
It
fun.
was so good.
Halloween episodes always have like a potential to be like really great.
Yeah.
They do, but I feel like this was an extra special episode. We got a lot of payoffs. Angela came back. Alpha's breakdancing came back.
Yes.
And also, I just love when the giant monster is just a dude fighting a robot. That's great. That was a good time.
This guy was fucking him up. This guy was really messing that up.
This Frankenstein was OP for sure.
Yeah. Okay, this monster I thought was really interesting because last episode, Nub was like, all three monsters were really OP, and I was thinking about this guy who isn't and then is, right? So if you think about him as a normal tiny person at a party, can't even grab one person like stumbling around.
Right.
He picks up a girl, and then this girl, she comes and she says, they're playing our song. How do you... What?
I think she's supposed to be... Was she supposed
the Bride
to be,
of
like,
Frankenstein.
Bride of Frankenstein?
Yeah.
So... Because that happens sometimes. Where you have like where you accidentally match with somebody.
Yeah.
And there's like an inside joke or something. So maybe it was like that scenario though. I don't know if like I'd trust anybody to pick me up though. That seems like too far.
Yeah. I didn't really choose Bride of Frankenstein. That's funny. That I retract my own my statement. But it was really funny because he's just like honestly trying to like hit people and is just missing them.
Yes.
But then when he's giant, he's like goaded, right?
He's going to town now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No powers, literally full just punchy, like
punchy. And he's got his neck nunchucks.
Where
the giant comes
when
from.
he pulled out his neck nunchucks, I was like, "This guy's a savage, bro! Right? He's not holding back. Hey, they're already dead. Leave him alone."
Yeah. More than the monsters who actually had powers.
Right.
Way better. This is a top tier monster for sure.
Force.
Yeah.
I like it. It's like the Rangers are kind of prepared for all these other creatures that have these different things, but they always like find a way to like kind of use it against them, right? This was just like there is nothing that they can kind of like outsmart, right? It was just you gotta be stronger. You gotta put your dukes up and fight.
Yeah.
Oh man.
I also love that the Japanese Frankenstein monster and the American Frankenstein monster were completely different. They had different faces, different eyes.
I thought when I first saw the Frankenstein monster, I was like, oh, maybe this is like an exclusively like American episode. Maybe this is because like there wasn't any prior footage like from the Japanese show until the interaction with Billy. And I was like, oh, that's a little weird because I don't know what Japan's perception of like classic Hollywood monsters are. It just seemed like I was like maybe it seems out of place. But now it exists. It's just like some wacky thing, just some wacky monster with neck nunchucks.
Yeah,
that's insane.
This is the best monster. It's definitely on the top of my top favorite monsters because this episode was so funny. Like honestly, this whole episode, I was like laughing from beginning to end because Alpha just like shows up. He wants to party and like. There's no reason for him not to be there because he's in costume, right? The Rangers are a little bit. Yeah, and he's there before Tommy because Tommy always isn't around still. Tommy's on his way to the party. He is still not dressed. Like, he has a bag. He's not in costume. So he's running late to the party. He's still not in costume. But then at the end of the episode, he is in costume. Like, it took him like 2 seconds to get ready.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, he thought it'd be funny to do that. But like, what was the original costume? And how did you throw together this costume so fast and put on your face paint and all that stuff? So based off of the last episode as well, Tommy is just really good at things.
Yeah.
And very fast. He made a whole parade float last episode.
Yeah.
He did actually, yeah. I thought it was really funny that he just like chose to be Frankenstein's monster at the very end. I was like,
Yeah.
what kind of sick joke is this? Y'all almost lost to this thing.
Okay, hold on, because he was working on his costume from the beginning of the episode. So
Right.
did he make his costume first, and then Rita, while spying on the Rangers, saw that, and then based the monster off of what he was doing?
Maybe that does seem in line with Rita of just
Yeah.
trying to.
That's
gut
what I'm
punch
thinking
him
happened.
constantly.
That's more believable. And Tommy does specifically say, I thought it would be funny to do this because of Rita's monster. So I think he did change it up, which is it is a weird thing. And then we also got Floating Rita, which is always so fun. She's so campy with how she shows up. I would do that too. It's like, it's all about presentation. She just and she can teleport to her. Like, we've established that she can just teleport to her. There's no reason for her to do any of this other stuff.
Yeah.
We have not established that she can stand on Earth.
That's true.
There's been few conditional parts where it's like she's been on a mound of things
Yeah.
and or a building, but
Well,
she's
yeah,
never. I don't think
She's never on level ground with like
No.
the Rangers.
Yeah.
She's always above them, literally just making a statement. I'm better than you, even
Yeah.
though she's not, because she
That's the
keeps
high
getting
ground.
destroyed by them. But like, or she, her plans keep getting ruined. But like, she's always. Every time now I pay attention, I'm just like, wow, she really just either doesn't like Earth that much. She's like, I refuse to touch like regular ground.
Yeah.
Or she's just like, I'm so much better than you. Like in her head, she's like, I am better. I will prove it. That's like her thing now.
Yeah. Because I'm up here and you are down there. That's so funny.
So while she was floating around, was she just standing on a ball of dirt, or was that the super putty that she had been collecting? I couldn't tell.
Yeah, I think it was the clay from the super putty clay.
Yeah.
I feel like this
Did
episode
I
was
stump
supposed
Nick? Oh my goodness.
I don't remember. There was because like the
Look it up.
details. I'm looking at it right. I'm trying to rewind in this Netflix thing right now. Because as much as like Tommy's like busy, it's like I always wonder like what the hell is he doing? And I just feel like they just randomly pull him from places. So like the last time we saw him with them, he's like, oh, he's helping. He's like, but this is why your costume isn't done.
Right.
So the details always just get mixed up.
That's
Mhm.
all good.
Let me go find it.
Yeah.
While you're looking that up, one tiny Billy moment that I just loved, while he was investigating the Frankenstein monster and chasing him out of town, he still like kept his pipe with him and like pretended to smoke on it while he was chasing the monster.
Can we talk about their costumes for a little bit?
Wait. But just
Okay.
just really quick, because of that moment, like the music for that moment was I really enjoyed it. Like it's not something you typically get in Power Rangers here, and you got this very like ominous, like very almost try to be like mystery. I just really liked it. It was a different vibe, So yeah. But now costumes.
Yes.
Yeah.
So this is obviously we have to mention the elephant in the room about Trini's costume.
Yes.
No, we don't condone that at all. Yeah, just right off the bat. I think they didn't really get a say in what they could wear.
Yeah.
I think they just put the one POC woman in a First Nations outfit. So I don't know. There's so many things.
That connection. I was just looking at the costume in isolation.
Maybe it was just we'll give her the benefit of the doubt that she just watched Pocahontas, and then we move the responsibilities to Disney once again.
Right.
Yeah. She just watched
back
Pocahontas that came out 2 years later. Perfect.
on the clay. The clay is the super putty clay.
Yeah.
That is the super putty clay.
Yeah.
Okay. That's what I was thinking.
I can't imagine she's like it's. We just saw it in the last scene, and then she's just floating on it in the second scene. So I'm just gonna say that it's super putty clay.
I think that this episode was supposed to air after the next episode because that's when they really talk about the super putties, right? And they talk about it as if it's a new thing. But this happened already. Like, she has these super putties as if they're already in the thing.
Yeah.
I thought she was getting the clay in this episode, and then she made them in the next episode.
I
guess we could say that.
Yeah.
Well, when was the team up episode? Was that the next episode?
Yeah.
Or was that the third episode?
Yeah.
No,
That's
that's the
the next
second
one.
one.
The second one. That's where Tommy got captured.
No.
No.
The team up one is the Jason and Tommy one is next. which is where they have the super putties.
Yeah, Wheel of Misfortune.
No.
Yeah, is not the one with the super putties because I remember Gung Ho
Right,
being no monsters and all putties.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So
Maybe-
Tommy get captured this episode. Oh yeah, he did get captured this episode.
Right.
Okay.
No,
okay,
he didn't.
He
Tommy got
got
captured in Wheel of Misfortune.
Okay.
Yeah.
What is Tommy doing? I need to
Tommy in
know.
this episode is running late for a party. Tommy in the next episode is fighting with Jason, and then the episode after that he gets kidnapped. That is the timeline here.
yeah.
Pinpoint.
I know he's always doing something else, but
That's-
yeah, going back to their costumes.
Yes.
So they had this really adorable sequence with Bulk and Skull trying on these costumes, which I loved that, and they ended up.
Yes.
There was no reason for it, right? And that's why it's adorable. They're just like really just trying to decide what outfits they want to wear, and they decide
Yeah.
on Elvis, but then show up. They don't even wear that.
Yeah, I really
Yeah.
like the Elvis costume.
Me
It
too.
was nice. I like their coordinated dance number as well.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah, it was really one of those like more personal Bulk and Skull moments.
Right.
But I loved. Okay, so Zach was King Tut.
Yes.
Yeah.
Jason
And that was
was
cool.
yeah, he looks really, really good at it. As it, and then Jason being Robin Hood, I believe.
Yes.
Yeah.
Robin Hood, but wearing the exact same hat that Bulk was wearing when he
Yeah.
was dressed as Peter Pan.
And it was one of those like costume things, and
Yeah,
I
they
think
just ran out.
Kimberly wears the same dress in 2 episodes from now.
Yes, I think so.
Yeah, I think it definitely looks similar. I don't think she had like a not a hat, but a headwear in the like a princess headwear in the Halloween
Yeah.
episode, but I don't think she has it in the other. I don't know.
She has like the pointy hat in this episode.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think Billy takes the cake with his costume. Like, it's
Yeah.
just so
because of the pipe.
perfect. Just
Yes.
pipe and just like him as a character.
Yeah.
It's like, man. Like coming right off the heels of rewatching the special.
Mhm.
So sad. It's like, oh look, they were so young and they were
Yeah.
having fun.
yeah.
Wow.
I know it's just so sad. Like, bring that up, I'll burst into tears.
I know.
Also, I just like this is so ridiculous, but I just thought about the title of this episode, and I'm like, what were the writers thinking? Life's a masquerade. That's so like depressing. Just like
Yeah.
what? It just hit me right now. I was like, wait, why is it like I get it, masquerade, it's Halloween part, but like
Yeah.
there's a deeper meaning there. I feel.
No. I think all of the episode titles are just common idioms
I know.
and or
Mhm.
puns.
Yeah.
So
Still
like,
really funny.
how many Halloween idioms do you know?
Right.
Could have just been Happy Halloween. I mean, you know, like
Yeah.
Yeah.
trust me, Power Rangers sometimes is not great with episode titles. Like,
Yeah.
Right.
There's some really good Halloween episodes, and I cannot wait to get to the further ones.
Yeah.
Oh, like next
Yes.
season?
If they're all this good, I'm down.
Well, way further down. What season was it? I don't remember. They put like the monsters put the Rangers on trial. Oh, I think it was In Charge.
Yeah.
That was a good season.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I thought you were talking about the next season's episode, where
Yeah.
there's a specific pumpkin
Yes.
monster.
Yeah, next season also very good. All of the Halloween episodes have a little bit of a charm to them.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
But when Billy is like follows this monster into a cave for some reason, it is until the monster starts attacking Billy. He goes, "My deductive reasoning tells me that you're not Tommy," because like this whole thing. They're just like stumbling around into a cave, and Billy's just like, "This is fine."
Yeah. Did he
Tommy's never
presume?
around. Maybe he does live in a cave.
Did he presume? But like, but Tommy like, okay, so this monster never approached them, right? His supposed friends, Tommy's friends.
Right.
So why did Billy assume like, oh, maybe that's Tommy, but he's like so method right now that he's just not gonna
Yeah.
like say hi? Like, what, he just-
Well, no, he did, right? As soon as he came into the party, he came up to Jason and the gang before the lady pulled him
oh,
away
did
to
they?
dance.
Oh, okay.
So they assumed that it was Tommy from the beginning.
Well, he didn't really talk to them or anything. He kind of just like bumped into them and
No, he
stumbled
didn't.
away.
Yeah. But I think
He-
Jason says something about it being Tommy as well.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right at
I
the
think
beginning.
this adds more to the sick joke that he was Frankenstein's monster at the end. It's like,
Yeah.
It was Tommy.
It was.
That's why he was so
Tommy's
strong.
so tricksy all the time. I think in the last episode too with Zach when he put the spider on Zach, I'm like, you're not close enough with these people yet, Tommy.
I think right now, at this point in the series, they're figuring out what to do with Tommy, especially because
Yeah.
I don't think the Sentai has a lot with him. So they're like, so they're trying to figure out his personality as well. And like, I don't think at this point, Tommy's popularity obviously is where it becomes. So they're just like, okay, what do we do with this guy who's not in, like, his Sentai counterpart's not in most of these episodes. We just have to figure out, like, random things. So I guess he's a trickster. He's just like a clown.
My headcanon is like he just doesn't know how to be friends to people. So he's just like sometimes he's like radically like 200%, and other times he's just not there. So
That's fair.
He's trying to figure it out. I think he's
He's like overcompensating for the times he's just like not around.
What if I put this spider on this guy that I just got?
Because like Zach is usually the one who's a bit more playful, but like now it's like Tommy's always doing this stuff. So I'm like, oh, interesting.
Yeah, but Zach's not like vindictive playful.
Sure.
He's just like he's more of like a breath of fresh air, where Tommy is kind of like you know,
Borderline
diet, right? Diet Vulcan almost.
Yeah. Bordering on the edge of like, you are not our friend, dude.
I feel like
that's why him and Kimberly are good.
I guess you're really so mean sometimes. I don't know. She just get these 3 episodes though.
We have such different views of Kimberly Minhas.
I like Kimberly. I'm just teasing.
I know.
I don't. Please, nobody come for me. I like Kimberly. I just think she's mean.
Mean Girl was iconic. Before.
Yeah.
So funny.
She never got the Power Ranger punk out of her system.
I know, right? It's just been there.
Yeah.
It always was there, and that's why it barely affected it. So another note that I made was, so there's an earthquake, and everything kind of gets messed up. But when they come back, the party's back on, like nothing happened.
Yeah.
Clearly, you've never been to Southern California.
Yeah, it's California.
I have not. Do they do that?
Yeah.
Go back. There's like whatever. I have to go back to.
You have to
normal.
So a normal day with an earthquake is you feel an earthquake. You're like, oh my god, was that an earthquake? And then you spend the next 20 minutes on like Twitter or Facebook trying to figure out, did anyone else feel an earthquake? And then you're either validated, and then you either validate and go on with your day, or you realize it was just you, and you keep going on with the rest of your day.
That's so funny. That is experience I've never had. So that's probably. I remember in my entire life, Toronto has only experienced one earthquake in my lifetime. And I was at university at the time, and it was so minuscule that only like 2 people felt it. Like I remember the girl behind me. I was in school, and the girl behind me was like, "Did you feel that?" And I'm like, "I have no idea what you're talking about."
It's funny in California because like if you're in a public place, you literally just look at people. Like you look around, they look at you. You understand. You're like, "Did you feel that?" I'm like, "Yeah." I was like, "Oh, okay." You just keep going.
Jeez.
That's funny. All right, so I stand corrected. Also, Billy goes molecular transmutation instead of its morphing time.
Yeah, disappointing.
It's so far. Amazing costume, terrible execution of
like he's the one that invents new morphwords. This was his opportunity.
That's true.
There's another thing that it's starting to bug me with, which Rita does a lot, is her monster will be like beating up the Rangers, and then she's like, "Oh, now it's time to make them grow." I'm like, wait, why? Like, you're succeeding right now, and then you're gonna put them in a position where they have to face a Megazord, this super powerful item, versus these 5 powered people, but like your monster is clearly doing well. So I'm like, why do you always? It's like always a premature. You make my monster grow, and I'm confused, and I'm just like, this is why you fail. Like, just.
He's getting too excited.
However, I think this is the one episode where that actually works.
Sure.
Yeah,
because the Grow monster did a lot more damage.
Sure.
Yeah, then the small monster just was like stumbling around. He grows up and suddenly he has like perfect hand-eye coordination. He doesn't stumble around except when he gets pushed.
Yeah,
I do agree with Nav though. It just feels like a win more technique. You know, I don't know if that like resonates in it, but like in card games, it's like sometimes it's like you don't need to do all the extra stuff, just do it for game.
Yeah.
Here it's like in that case, it's like, I think I'm winning. I'm gonna just make them big for no reason. It's like,
Yeah.
more moves cost you the game sometimes.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
That's
No,
funny.
I agree with you guys. I think that's what the formula is, but this episode was something else.
Yeah. No, I mean, and
Spots are the best.
I do love that Zord combination, the Dragon Zord. It's so cool. It looks so cool. Like, just
It does look so cool. And so, moving on to the next episode, if you don't mind, this is the first time I'm just jumping the gun, we get introduced to Titanus.
oh my gosh.
Titanus.
Yes.
Yeah.
Can-
Okay.
Can I talk about this episode first? Because I really love this
Please.
episode.
Yeah,
Like,
talk about this episode
this is
first.
one of my favorite episodes of the series because, like, you get Titanus, as you mentioned. Freaking, I love the Ultra Zord. I compare every other Zord combination to the Ultra Zord.
Zord.
Like, just like any season, it's just like, is that the Ultra Zord? It's not good enough. Like, I don't care. It like
I don't care.
in Megaforce they get like this big giant ship. I was like, yeah, but it's not the Ultra Zord. Like, it's too powerful. But so you get that. You get Jason getting the shield. It was just such a
Yes.
moment. It was
It is a
such
moment.
And then just like you had mentioned earlier with this story is like, oh, there's no monster. There's no, the kids are doing this thing. I'm going to mess with their thing. It's literally just an interpersonal issue between Jason and Tommy. And like, see, this is them trying, I feel like, kind of going back to what I was saying before, I feel like them figuring out like where Tommy's place is. And so like challenging Jason kind of even unintentionally, it wasn't like challenging, but they're two strong personalities and them butting heads a lot, even as a team. I was just like, oh, this is really exciting to watch. And like, it was great. It was a really good story. It was very fun.
It is, and you really see, and it doesn't surprise me that Jason is annoyed at Tommy at this point, because if you watch it, it seems out of the blue, but it's not, because Jason is an easily annoyed guy, right? He's always been the leader of the team. He's never had anyone really question him up until Tommy shows up, and now Tommy is kind of like taking the lead. I scoff because later on when Tommy becomes, I just kind of feel bad for Jason. It's just like, there's no reason for that to happen. But it just really is difficult for Jason to deal with. I don't know why Tommy hates Jason so much at this point.
Yeah.
I know why Jason hates Tommy. I don't know why Tommy hates Jason.
I think maybe it might be because they had met under the circumstances of a competition. Like I've definitely met people and who are like now my friends or like people I talk to regularly, like at tournaments or like something like that. And there's just like this adversarial nature that has nothing to do with them at all. But sometimes you meet in the environment and you're like, I don't know why, but I just want to be better than you, or I just want to continue to like be at opposite ends. So maybe that's it. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it could be anything. Tommy is really like all over the place anyway, so
Yeah.
It might be just like partially like competitive nature, but also like these two are, as far as we're shown, like the best martial artists, right? And so it's just like, but I want to be the best, not like 1A. Neither wants to be 1A. So even though they're on a team, they're like, yeah, but like I know what I'm doing. And it's like, well, I know what I'm doing. So it's like, no, you missed the punch. It's like, no, you threw the kick early. And it's just like, they're butting heads because they both are very, very comfortable and like confident in their abilities. And so now, but like their abilities tend to not, like in terms of martial arts, not have them work with people. It's just like they do their thing, So now that they have to work with someone else who's equally, if not more skilled, that debate, we're not going to have that. But like, I think that's what causes that friction.
Yeah. I love though when Bulk and Skull show up. And they're like, we're gonna win, and synchronize Tommy and they're like, it's the best. I actually, this is embarrassing. I like went back and watched that like 5 times. I'm like, I love that so much. But also, Bulk and Skull in this episode, I just want to take a moment to talk about them, because so they found these two martial artists. They're like I don't know, coaches or
Managers.
Yep.
And they like are still scrutinizing Jason and Tommy, but at this point, Jason and Tommy are showing signs of lacking in skill, right?
Yeah.
So, but then at the end, their guys lose
So badly.
but Bulk and Skull don't call them idiots, Bulk, as they probably normally would. They don't like patronize them or anything. Bulk says to Skull, "Please give them some water," and it's nice, and it leads to Bulk getting drenched again. A joke at their expense. I feel like anytime they try to do something nice, like something bad happens to them, I'm like, no wonder they're so mean. Because they just can't be nice. Like, yeah.
I don't think it was them being nice. I think Bulk knows how to commit to a bit. So when he puts on that manager hat, he's manager from start to finish.
I mean, fair enough.
I think there is like sometimes them being the butt of the jokes does happen a lot because the last episode it happened. The last episode, like they were trying to get out of like not wanting to help, right? But they ultimately did, you know. And like
we didn't talk about how Ernie always does the child labor.
yeah, what's up with that, Ernie? What's going on here?
I know.
Like
always don't have to help.
Yeah, but like they were willing to help. Like, yeah, okay, like when you're a kid, you would if you had the choice to get out of chores, you would.
Yeah.
You know, but you get caught. It's like, I gotta do them. So they were doing them, and then he gets drenched with paint, and it's like, that wasn't even his fault that time. He didn't do anything. He was actually trying to help. Now he needs to like go clean himself just because I don't know. He needs to be like the butt of the joke, and again like it. I get what you're saying. It's like sometimes they are just like around, or they're just doing something that they want to do.
Yeah.
But then ultimately just get shafted. So
for sure. Oh yeah, there's no denying that. I think it was just like that's the formula they went with, and you can argue it's merit, but you know,
right.
It made them kind of like these, even though they were bullies, it made them these lovable dorks. Because it's just like, yeah, they sometimes do not so cool things, or they're rude or mean, but it's like they're not like, for the most part, they're not really physically harming anyone, you know, they're not like causing any severe issues. They're just, it's mostly like words, you know, and just like attitude, but then you see them like get
occasionally
Those
putting
would be
someone
Power
in a trash
Rangers.
can.
yeah. Then you see them get like paint or fall into a cake or whatever, and you're just like, damn. It just makes you feel for them. So I get it.
Yeah, definitely. So this episode, I feel like this episode is Zordon is the equivalent of Doggy Cougar.
Yes.
Right? Where he's just like, but
exactly. This is the exact example I always bring up. Why?
Yeah.
Oh man.
Titanus, like, just why? And then, like, so even he doesn't mention him that they're super putties. He's like, go help them. Even though he knows they're super putties, then he doesn't tell them. He makes them go fight them, knowing that they don't know it's a different type of putty. Brings them back, and then said, P.S. they're super putties. And then he's like, gonna send Tommy and Jason on this journey to get these weapons that are guarded, but not guarded. Like, Titanus is on their side. So did Zordon tell him to like zap these Rangers?
Yeah.
Wait, Titanus is on their side?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh.
Then like, at the end of the episode, he's like,
Yeah.
Okay, I was so confused.
yeah, because
It's like
at the end, Jason's like, what if we had to fight that dragon thing? And then Zordon's like, psych, he's on our side.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's in the next.
I
It's in the next
missed that.
episode.
That's why I was confused.
Yeah.
That's so funny.
He was like, it was just a test. I was like, oh, this is like the danger room in X-Men. Just like, all right.
These two kids, they can't get over this whole fighting competition thing. Can you help them? Just shoot them around a little bit. They'll figure it out.
Yeah. And then they John Wicked down the hill.
Yes.
This part seeing Titanus too was really exciting. So back in the day, they had this ad. They had a lot of ad for Power Rangers, but this one stuck in my mind because I had like the first episode on VHS, and they always played this ad, and it's like, Then you'll call the Dragon Zord and Titanus, and they'll make the Ultra Zord. And it's like Power Rangers, too hot to handle. That was their tagline.
Nice. That's gonna be our tagline now.
Yeah, too hot. And I think you mentioned it earlier in the episode just now. This recording, you were like, "They're too hot to handle." I'm like, no, he's saying the line.
Wait, did I?
He doesn't even know.
I did. I don't remember that commercial, so that's just that's
Deep in your subconscious.
coincidence.
You've always
Yeah.
wanted Titanus. I haven't seen. Oh, I think they. I don't know if it was recent Olympic, but I did see like a figure for Titanus recently.
Oh, I have.
Oh.
I have Titanus.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
For the Lightning collection, right? I think.
Yeah. I'll send you all a
It's
photo
monstrous.
afterwards.
Yes.
I
It's
have.
huge.
It's in the box. We haven't opened pretty much anything. My brother actually bought all the stuff for like the 20th anniversary release and like he bought so many toys. But we've opened like the only thing we've opened is the dragon flute. Everything else, Saba, freaking Titanus, this like Megazord, but it's like it's all black and gold instead of like all the regular colors. There's so many things, so many toys that my brother got, all in the box. I don't know if we'll ever open them. And he was just like, I don't want to. I was like, all right, you bought them, so I guess I can't argue. But I like to say I have them, so.
Mhm.
Yeah, Akio has opinions about leaving things in boxes.
What does that mean?
Do you take your things out of your boxes?
He does, and then he
I-
throws the
I
boxes
take-
out.
And then I throw the boxes
You
out.
throw the boxes out.
I mean, that's
Yeah.
valid.
Boxes get recycled.
It's valid.
Because I play with my toys, but
That's true.
like, what's
Okay,
the
yeah,
point
you
of
got
having?
me.
You can't play with boxes.
I agree.
Anyway,
I agree, but like
Yeah.
again, my brother spent the money, so I feel like I can't open it.
yeah,
you
it's
know,
not yours to take out.
Yeah.
of the
Right,
box.
exactly.
So
Yeah.
maybe one day.
So the end of this episode, they have this fight.
Yeah.
It reminded me
Mm-hmm.
of the Turbo movie. We were talking about the Turbo movie earlier, but was Tommy part of the original fighting choreography in the Turbo movie?
What do you mean?
I'm not sure. Like Jason Dave Frank, you mean?
Yeah, Jason David Frank, was he there? Or no, was he? Well, like, was he like? You know how
When the
there's-
whole thing happened with Rocky, I think it was just Rocky.
Oh, it was just it was Rocky. not
Yeah.
Jason. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Got it. Right, Jason was
there.
captured.
Jason was
Oh.
there later.
He was somewhere else.
Doing his stuff with Kimberly. There's so much fan fiction around that.
But I mean, I think the end of this episode is like very classic resolution. Like, okay, now you guys are chill. Now you guys are
Mhm.
fine.
You're
but-
OP, where they don't like lose once, I believe. Like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
These ninjas that came in that are like super skilled suddenly are just no match for the teamwork.
I guess
Yeah.
if they got like tired of working with Bulk and Skull and just got someone else to go into their outfits and then they left. Right? Like I would totally believe that happened because you can't see their faces.
Mm.
Yeah.
Right.
So
Uh,
like
You don't believe in the power of gung ho?
No.
that's
I
so
do.
funny.
I just
guess
would. It would just be
choose,
nice to
like,
see them
mixed-
get a point, like just one little round win. Just would have been nice to show that they are formidable. Like
Right. No, that's not. That ain't Power Ranger way. But I do think this is like the first transition, not transition, but first like notable factor in like the change of leadership, which
Mhm.
does happen later down the line. It's more prominent when they switch out Rocky for Jason.
right.
Yeah.
It's just like Tommy is immediately the leader, but
Yeah, which makes sense. Like Rocky's like not whenever was supposed to be, right?
right, exactly.
Yeah.
So this is the first time I think we see that kind of conflict, and then
I feel really bad for Jason. Like he did nothing to deserve being pushed away from being leader.
yeah,
Like it's not like he did a bad job, and it's not like Tommy. Like we don't have to fight about it, but it's
Right.
not like Tommy is so much more powerful than Jason. Like if anything, they're head to head, right? Like you may have opinions on one might be slightly more or slightly less, but there's a reason it's an argument
Right.
because they're so closely matched.
Yeah.
I think it helps a little bit when Rocky does come in and then like Tommy is a prominent leader, because like now when they depict like Jason and Tommy together, it's usually like in the more respectful like we're the same level essentially.
Mm-hmm.
At least when Jason comes back as the Gold Ranger,
hmm
and
Yes.
it was
Spoiler.
Yep. Zio.
Yeah.
well, yeah. He comes back as the Gold Ranger. Sorry,
Oh, no.
20 years of 20 years to figure it out.
Yeah.
But even in Forever Red, I think like they're
Yeah.
on like a more mutually understood level as opposed to this like
Yeah.
Jason got kicked out. Jason in the comics becomes Omega Red Ranger. That's pretty cool.
Nice.
Nice.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so that's fun.
I love that Jason came back as Gold. Like,
Oh yeah.
I think that it was very exciting because when I first, like, we all thought it was going to be Billy, right? Like,
Right,
first time
right.
watching it. And then it's not, I feel so bad for Billy. Like, all of these Rangers are just getting the short end of the stick for no reason.
Saw that a kill.
Yeah. No, I was expecting it to be Billy too, and I felt really bad when it wasn't.
It wasn't.
Can you imagine Jason coming out as the Gold Ranger? He's like, yeah, it doesn't feel good, huh? You're kind of dumb, don't you?
This is how it feels.
This is what happened.
No, but yeah, I agree. So there's a Power Rangers video game, Battle for the Grid. Yeah.
Battle for the Grid,
yeah. I always mix up Shattered Grid, the comic book thing, with the Battle. So, but anyway, you have it's a 3-person team, a 3-Ranger team, and you face other people who make their own. My team is Red Ranger Jason, Gold Ranger Trey. It's Trey in the game. It's Jason in my head, and Doggy Kruger.
Doggy.
Yeah.
I like Doggy Kruger has come up way more than I think.
He's my dude. And the best part is he has this move where he uses his sword and he slices and he yells out for Icinia, who is his wife, and I'm just like, look at this man. He's so passionate. He's just
So passionate.
My
Speaking-
secret goal of this podcast is to turn everybody against Doggy Kruger and expose his ways.
if he has one fan, it'll be me. I don't care, man.
I'm the hater.
That's so funny.
We should do
But
a whole
speaking-
separate episode just debating.
It's just like V fight, V versus V. But speaking of leaders, and the changing of leaders, like let's look at what happened here with Jason and Tommy and compare it to what happened with TJ and Andros, which two vastly different reactions to like the loss of leadership.
Yeah.
TJ like really took that transition well. Like he almost became a stronger Ranger under Andros' leadership. I say almost. We know he did.
Yeah.
And that was one of the more interesting transition. I don't think TG was ever really given a chance.
Right.
That whole Turbo team kind of got shafted, and I keep saying this, not in universe. They got shafted by the writers because they wanted Justin to be more prominent. So they made kind of the adults all stupid, and it like really was a detrimental to the team.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I was saying when we were talking the last recording, or I think it was after the recording, about our top Rangers, I was like, I want to include TJ, but he's just unfortunate. Like he's a victim of circumstance, of the fact that he's following Tommy, which is just like it's unfair. Like I don't even love Tommy, but it's just like I still I understand his positioning and everything. So he's following Tommy. He's in a poor season. Like there's just so many issues. So him becoming blue is like the best thing for him. And it just kind of like took all that like burden and all that baggage that came with him being the transitional Red Ranger off. And he got to like really be, a proper Ranger, a proper person. So yeah.
And he was so good as a Blue Ranger. Like one of my favorites.
Fun fact before we go back to the last episode, Turbo was based off the Sentai, the Car Ranger thing.
Yeah.
Or the Car Ranger Sentai season, which isn't like a full season. It was made specifically to teach roadside safety.
Oh, I love that.
Nice.
So it's like there's only like 30 episodes to teach kids how to drive, or like how to walk around the street. It's a very comical season. There's not a lot of seriousness in it.
This sounds fun. I gotta check that out.
Yeah, it's everyone. I know everyone says like the writing gets a little darker because like they're older now, but like they're still trying to appeal to the Blue Ranger. But I always just think it's funny. It's like, wow, it's just like a comedy season. It's not really like a full season.
It's a very silly season. It's a mess of a season. Let's just say that. Like I remember my first like going through all the Ranger seasons, and then I'm like, Turbo can't have been as bad as I remember it. And when I hit it, I'm like, this doesn't feel good to watch. Even going back as an adult, even knowing everything that happened and like knowing where these characters go, it doesn't feel good to watch. It's not my favorite season.
The song goes hard though.
Yeah.
The song does go hard. Somebody I was talking to this weekend said Turbo was one of their favorite seasons, and I'm like, that is not a popular opinion. But good for you.
Wild.
Yeah.
Leave now.
I don't
I don't want to talk to you.
they were like, because they like the Zords, and I'm like, that's a good a reason
That's
as
a good
any.
reason.
Like,
Yeah.
literally, like, fair enough.
Yeah, I mean, I have the second I forget what it's called, but like not the main Megazord, but the second one that's like bigger. It's like 2 times the size of the regular. Like it's a really big Zord.
Right.
But yeah, so yeah, the Zords are dope. It's just
So it's just keep getting bigger and bigger.
yeah. But yeah, Kill.
Okay.
What did you think about this episode, the Gung Ho one? Any
The
other
Gung Ho
thoughts?
one?
Any other thoughts?
Just aside from the title, not really. I had to look up the title because I thought gung ho just meant excited. Apparently, back in 1937, when it was introduced into English, it means to work together.
Really? Isn't that interesting? Yeah.
So that's why they're like, we need gung ho, and I'm like, you already have gung ho. It's like,
Yeah.
gung ho is working together.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's funny because I was thinking, I'm like, gung ho usually means go, right? Like
Yeah.
That's what I've
Common
yeah, that's what I've
vernacular?
always said.
Yeah.
Mhm.
in,
Interesting.
that's so funny.
I've always known it as teamwork because of this episode. Like I've never heard it in any other context, so that's the
Yeah.
only thing I knew about. So every time I
Yeah.
did mention or think about it, I was just like, yeah, teamwork,
It's
like
working
the
together.
Rangers, like.
Power Rangers
Yeah.
keeps teaching Nub about gung ho and Rip Van Winkle and all of this.
I don't like.
knowledge.
I just thought about this like as we were talking earlier. I don't like that Trinio almost comes off as like the like the ancient mystic type person because she's like, oh, gung ho, and I'm just like, oh, why is this? I get it, but it's just like it's obviously not intentional, but it just can come off as like, oh, the wise, like Asian trope of just like, oh, I
Yeah.
throw out these like parables or
Yeah.
these little, like wise
That-
anecdote things.
It does
Yeah.
come from Chinese. That doesn't make it better.
And
Yeah.
it's like it's again her like ancestry comes into question.
Right.
Yeah.
Like it's like what is Trini? Like what is her
is
background?
Asian.
She is Asian.
For the
Um,
listeners at home, we have the biggest finger quotes you can imagine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Asian. But speaking of Trini, this is going to be my last note of this episode. When she is fighting the super putties, she buckles. And then Kimberly is pretty much protecting her. And then Billy shows up and was like, I'm going to cover Trini. And I thought that was such again, after the special, everything has changed.
Yeah.
Such an amazing moment. And I was like, this is so, I don't know, the camaraderie amongst these people it's really admirable.
Yeah.
There was also like a moment where the super putties kind of like smushed back together in this like claymation,
Mm-hmm.
and I just made a note where it's like, "Oh, a good job on the effort."
Yeah.
The claymation takes a while. I know that's like credit to the Zentai footage, but still, good job on the
Yeah.
effort on their end.
Right.
No, they did great. They used that clip, 3 times?
Yeah.
Really got
Yeah.
their money's worth.
effective, dude. That's
Yeah,
what
very
they do.
effective. It reminded me of episode 1 when they're first making the putties,
Mm.
and they just reused the clip of them coming out of the
Yeah.
monster
Yeah.
matic.
Yeah. Speaking of reusing clips and then moving on to Wheel of Misfortune, this is like I think that scene with Goldar and Scorpina are also reused footage. So we're really starting to see the cycles come back. And to our common theme where Goldar does nothing and then cries about it once again.
Oh, Goldar.
Once again. But yeah, let's talk about this episode. Does anyone have any initial thoughts? I have some thoughts, but
Yeah, after our last podcast episode where we saw Kimberly get traumatized by Rita, and then she gets traumatized again by Bulk this time,
Yeah.
and
yeah.
then Rita uses it to her advantage.
That's Very
yeah.
on brand.
I was thinking the
Very
same
on
thing.
brand. Yeah.
Rita,
And that's why. Sorry, go ahead.
Rita's really malicious with Kimberly. Like, I know she
Yeah.
she kind of attacks everyone, but like, she tried to have Kimberly die in a plane crash.
Yeah.
She then ruins the float. Like, that's very important to her. And then she's like, "Oh, this wheel that is very important to you." Like, she's just like
Yeah.
very
They're, like, really hitting it where it
psychological
hurts.
with Kim.
The plane crash was with her uncle. This wheel is
Yeah.
her grandmother, so
Yeah.
she's bringing the family into it.
She's like literally like very, very harsh against Kimberly, which is why when Ernie is like, it's not like you to be sad. I'm like, literally 3 episodes she was sad. Like, what are you talking about? She's always sulking around, and for good reason. I'm not saying she doesn't have a reason, but like Ernie, it's not out of character. Like, do you not pay attention to this girl?
No, he's too busy exploiting them for free work.
I know. Are you too sad to work, Kimberly?
That would have been funny
Shut up.
if he said that. It's like, oh,
You should smile more.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
no, she's just like, oh, I'm so sad. He'd be like, oh, well, there's some tables that need cleaning. Like, we just like,
Hey, you know, dishes.
It's so funny. But the beginning of this episode, we see that Kimberly in her medieval dress again.
So I looked it up while we were talking about it. It's a different frilly pink dress.
Is it?
Yeah.
It is. It's two
Okay.
different pink dresses.
Wow.
Nice.
They're
Yeah.
not as resourceful as we thought they were.
Yeah.
Or Kimberly just has that wardrobe. She just has two pink princess dresses in her closet at any given time.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, the costume for this play, I don't know what this play is because it's not for a class project because the principal is there, and
Mhm.
Ernie is helping them later with it. So I don't know what I don't know. Ernie's around too much.
Yeah. I was confused. I thought it was at the school, but then when the wheel disappears, they start looking around the youth center for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think one girl's like, "Oh, I'll go look." I thought that was nice. Everyone else is
Yeah.
like, "Please don't talk to me."
it feels like the youth center is like adjacent or connected to the school. That's how it comes
Right.
off. I don't know
Yes.
if it is, but that's like how it comes off. Where like you
Yeah,
walk
I
down
buy
that
it,
main
I buy it.
hallway and then like you're in the youth center.
Or it could be like some youth centers here in Los Angeles, like the YMCA is like connected to like city schools.
Mm.
So there'll be like a bus that takes kids directly to the youth center or after school or something like that. So maybe
Yeah.
it's like intrinsically connected.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
There's
May-
just a bus that takes the kids and the spinning wheels and the principal across.
yes, that's exactly.
Yeah, I
exactly.
think it's more likely that they were connected because at my old high school, the community center, it wasn't connected. It was like literally their buildings were next to each other.
Mm. Okay.
Yeah.
So I feel like it might be one of those situations.
I
I-
have
Probably.
a lot of questions about this production value, though. It's like they were
Yeah.
trying to do Rumpelstiltskin. I get it, and then Bulk is there, so they let Bulk in. They know Bulk. They don't like Bulk. They know that Bulk is like kind of accident prone.
Yeah.
So where was the decision that like Kimberly was gonna bring her grandmother's like authentic spinning wheel?
Yeah, and why
like,
did the
that's
grandmother
fine.
say yes?
Yeah.
First of all, who did Bulk and Skull audition for this, or were they told they have to do it?
Yeah.
Like, what was the situation where Bulk and Skull are in this play? Second, at the end, Kimberly is like, "Rumpelstiltskin, where are you? Help me!" No, the plot of the play is she doesn't know his name.
Right.
Right.
What do you mean?
Oh, that completely went over my head.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty wild. But I don't remember if she said it before that the wheel belonged to her grandmother until it broke. And
Yes.
I just remember it was like I think she said it, and I was like, "Whoa, what?
Wait,
hang on.
why did you bring
Why
that?
did you bring that?
Yeah, it's like ancient.
This situation is significantly worse now."
And Bulk, for a second, feels really bad.
Yeah.
He's
Yeah.
like, Kimberly, come on.
I give
No.
Bulk half a credit for feeling bad, but he also, when she was like, don't spin it too fast, he was like, nah, I'm just gonna
Yeah.
spin it as fast as I can. So I was like, well,
Do you think he knew it was hers or her grandmother's?
Oh, I don't know.
No, I don't
I
think
Probably
guess,
not.
but like,
We did
She
it,
didn't
I did
tell
it.
anyone.
but
Yeah.
but common sense says you don't spin something, like you don't have to be that harsh on it, you know? Like,
To
I
be
mean,
fair, it is a spinning wheel. If it breaks while spinning, that's not on you.
no,
That's
but
true.
but you know what Bulk,
to spin.
but Bulk knows what he's doing. He's not just spinning it really fast because he doesn't know what he's doing. He's
I
trying to
mean,
be
we're all-
obnoxious. He's
We're all
started.
trying to find accountability here, and I think the real lesson is don't bring your grandmother's spinning wheel.
Yes, that's the
Anyway,
real lesson.
don't.
I would disagree
Yeah.
with that. I'm just saying though, like, you know,
Yeah.
It's like Trini bringing her like grandmother's dolls.
Okay, but
Right?
that was for show and tell. No one
Yeah.
else is supposed to touch that.
Yeah,
Like in the
Uh,
script, Bulk was supposed to use the spinning wheel. So
That's
they
true, he
exercised
was.
some caution.
and you know he's accident prone. Like, no, sad.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't-
This whole situation, like, I don't know what's happening with this
I'm
episode.
gonna say everybody's at fault here, and
Yeah.
the only true victim is the grandma. Like that's who's
Yeah.
not getting her spinning wheel back.
Oh my gosh, I have a couple of notes. One, Jason's pants are back. I love those pants. They're my favorite. Two, Tommy fixes everything. Anytime anything goes wrong with Kimberly, he's there. He's there to fix it. These putties are like urukai. They are born and then made to immediately fight. They're pretty much babies.
Yeah.
They're
Isn't
set
that all
to.
putties though?
The reason why I brought it up in this episode is because they're looking at Tommy's backpack. Like, what is this? They don't know anything.
Oh, is that what they were doing?
Yeah.
Are they like
I thought their
partially-
hands were just too big to open it. They didn't grab the zipper because they have those big gloves on.
But if you look at it, they're like, sometimes they jump back. It's like literally they don't know what
Yeah,
this
they're literally
backpack
just
is.
staring
Yeah.
at it.
Yeah.
Okay,
And-
that makes more sense.
Well, that's kind of sad now because now it's like they're like partially sentient and they understand. They only understand like to fight. But
Yeah.
that means they're capable of other things. Like they're capable of understanding other things, and they
They were
don't.
given time to grow and
do-
like literally weren't born for one day.
We do. Whatever. I'm gonna spoil it. There's an episode later. It's not like this big a thing, but there's an episode where they literally show a putty driving a car. So they are capable of more. Than
Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And they can be clowns.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
can be clowns.
And there's just
very convincing clowns.
that moment's
Yeah.
so epic because like Jason's on the car while the putty's driving it. And he's like, "Putties can drive? Yup, they can drive." I'm like, "That's the greatest dialogue I've ever heard."
Have you guys seen Volume 3, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3?
Yes, yeah. I know you're going to talk about.
Yeah,
I don't want to say spoilers,
Yeah,
but I know
okay,
exactly
never
what you're
mind.
talking about.
But yeah, everybody who knows what I'm talking about, it's kind
Oh,
of
yeah.
that's what a putty vibe is.
Yeah, pretty much. That guy and Urukai. The reason why I said Urukai is because I didn't want to make spoilers for Guardians of the Galaxy
okay.
3. But
Okay.
it's definitely the exact same vibe.
Yeah.
And I think it's hilarious and very sad because they're like literally children.
Yeah.
But then, so Tommy is wandering to the park for some reason. He's always doing something, and then they kidnap him and they tie his hands, and he's on the floor, and he goes, "Why did I put my communicator in my bag? It doesn't matter. Your hands are tied."
Yeah.
Like,
But yeah,
Yeah.
I think that was more for us to be like, oh, Tommy needs help in this situation, but he can't get it, so let's just make sure his communicator's in his bag.
For sure.
Yeah.
That's better than putting it on and like cutting to a shot of him like trying to reach it while his hands are tied. Because his hands
I
are
mean,
tied
fair
together,
enough.
so he could still probably reach it.
Or
Maybe.
he
Push
just
the button and
yell,
just shout.
Right.
Yeah,
I think he
yell.
meant like he could have used it before he got tied. I think that's
Yeah.
what he's saying.
okay, fair enough. Fair
Yeah.
enough.
More of like,
Yeah.
oh, if I just had it on me, then I could have called and not gotten in this situation.
I will.
Yeah.
I will say it's very on brand though for Tommy to be in the worst case scenario all the time.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
is. It sure is.
I actually thought he was gonna like when the scene first started and he was starting to get attacked. I was like, oh, okay, Tommy's just gonna beat up all the putties. So then when he got tied up, I was actually like, oh wow, this is different.
But they're super
They're
putties,
super
right?
putties.
Are they
Yeah.
still? I don't
They have
know.
big hands.
They do. They have
No,
like clubs for one
Yeah.
hand. Yeah, like
Yeah.
a
The
rock or
regular
something.
putties also have big hands.
Yeah,
Yeah.
some of
So
them have.
it's the sphere hand, the orb
Oh.
hand that I look
Yeah.
out for.
Okay.
It's funny to see the evolution of putties. Right? Later on, they get even more powerful.
They also
Um,
get weaker.
Technically,
Yeah.
They
yeah.
get the Z on their chest,
Yeah.
yeah,
and they're like,
it's
hit the
just-
Z.
it's
Yeah.
like the Millennium Falcon of not Millennium Falcon, the Death Star of
Yeah.
putties.
It's weird. Yeah, they
But
are more
it's, like,
powerful.
huge.
But yeah, if you hit the Z, then they. So it's like, first of all, terrible design. I don't know.
Right.
But yeah.
Lord Zed is Canadian.
Right.
I'm just saying. Lord Zed.
That took me a
The
second.
one, yeah. So it's like when you guys were saying they were hitting the Z's, I'm like, what Z's?
Oh, right.
You mean the Zeds?
The Zeds, my bad. Sorry.
So is his name Lord Z?
Lord Z.
Yeah. In
Lord
the
Z.
American dub, it's Lord Z. In the Canadian dub, it's Lord Z.
That'd be hilarious, actually. If that was the case.
That's insane. That's a lot
That
of
is
personality.
so funny. What was I going to say? Oh, yeah. So this Wheel of Misfortune, I would have loved for the wheel to actually cause misfortune as a story plot, as
Yeah.
opposed to just being like there to punch them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was.
I-
Sorry, go ahead.
I mean, it's already broken. So like, it was already broken, and then Rita, in her classic fashion of just like trying to make everybody just like emotionally damaged, is like, I'm also just gonna take it. So now it's like, okay,
Yeah.
did they really need to break it before? Like
No.
or, like
I
narrative
guess
wise,
not.
I guess that wouldn't have been significant. Whatever, it doesn't
Yeah.
matter.
I know basically she needs to be mad at both.
There
Though. She
wasn't-
needed a
you're right,
reason to
there-
be.
Right.
There wasn't a need for it to be broken. It
There
could
wasn't
because
nothing broken.
yeah, because this is no different than other future plots that we see, or even previous plots. Like
You know what? True. Speaking of previous plots, so I was gonna make a note of this in that episode, but then forgot the one with the statue. I was gonna say it's very convenient for like Rita to put things back after.
Yeah.
But they never talk about it. This episode, they actually talk about it. Like it's surprise, like the first time, but every other time, it's always gone back.
yeah.
So Kimberly's like, "How did it come back? It's always came back." And then Zordon's
Yeah.
like, "It came back because it does."
Yeah, I guess the idea, and based on this explanation, is that they all these items get put on under a spell. And
Yeah, it's
then-
gonna be like a lot to like Rita's magic in some way. She's gotta
so once
you
it's
know,
destroyed, it returns to its original form.
place or
Yeah.
something.
I like to think that Rita put that in as a failsafe. Like, if this thing gets destroyed, if the magic gets taken away, then it goes back to the way it was, where it was.
Maybe.
But a failsafe for what?
Yeah, that's what
Like,
I'm
if
thinking.
if she gets
Oh, like if
defeated, I
she
guess.
well, she's been stuck in her own magic before.
Oh,
So
has
maybe
she?
that's it happens. She get her and Zed get into a globe. I don't know. Was that Ivan Ooz's? magic?
Yeah, yeah, that was Ivan
Ooze.
Ooze.
Ivan Ooze was so OP.
Ivan Ooze
That
is a
just
true
stressed me
villain.
out so much.
That
I actually
guy.
I had nightmares about him, like straight
Oh
up.
yeah, yeah.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so I have to tell this story since you brought it up. So when the movie was coming out, right, I was at, I think it was DZ, which is like, it's like a Chuck E. Cheese type or fun zone. I don't know if, but so I was in this, like, I was in those like tubes that you like, you know, go through. It's like the play, like, you know, like McDonald's has those like playhouses,
Yeah.
and you like, so I'm
Yeah.
crawling through the tubes, and this is when the movie's like either out or coming out. So there's promotion for it. And you just hear Ivan Ooze's voice while like in these like this like claustrophobic tube,
Oh,
and I'm like, oh my
no.
god, it's a terrible
No.
memory I have.
That's so awful. It's funny, like even though the Rangers beat him, in my head as a child, I'm like, nothing can beat Ivan Ooze. Like he's unbeatable.
Nick.
Even though the Rangers,
Yeah.
and really, like you see it happen as a kid in my nightmares. I'm like, there's nothing that can stop him.
Yeah.
We're all doomed. Ivan Ooze.
Nick, do you know if they've ever brought him up in the comics again? Because I
No,
would
was
love,
literally just.
I
was
would
literally
love
just
to
thinking
see him in
about
the
this.
comics.
They've excelled to like Drakon, and they've excelled to now they're doing a storyline with like Rita and Zed right now.
Okay.
So it's kind of focused on them. I'm wondering if they do bring Ivan Ooze, like what dynamic that's gonna bring. I
Right.
feel like he's just gonna be an absolute menace.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because everyone's like the comic books are just like it's just like the television show, but like everything's cranked up to like 1,000.
Right.
So Ivan Ooze, I think, is like one of the more successful villains in the Power Rangers like lore.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
He has not made a comic book appearance
Ugh.
yet, so that's kind of scary thinking about that because I'm like, yeah,
It
yeah,
is scary.
yeah,
Ivan Ooze
yeah.
and the Psycho Rangers, like as a kid, really did a number on my mental
Oh,
side.
Yes,
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Psycho Ranger Green. Was there a green back then? No,
Not in the
No,
show,
no.
but there was in the
Yeah.
comics. Yeah.
Yeah, Psycho Ranger Green. We talked about this, I think, either last week or the week before. I don't know if it was on recording or not. But the Psycho Green Ranger is like a menace. Is also like extremely scary. So, I'm hoping
Yeah.
to see Ivan. I don't know, sometime soon. There's so much to
Mhm.
explore that they can.
There is, yeah, he's scary.
Yeah.
Ending up this episode, we see more Tommy and Kimberly kind of like relationship. He winks at her. He's like, break a leg. He's like, no, wink. So I don't know. I thought that was like both cute and a little bit like okay, but like it was more of those like
Tommy needs to chill. Like,
yeah.
Tommy does need.
he's very fortunate
Yeah.
that Kim is into him, because otherwise he'd come
Yeah,
off
right.
very like creepy. Like, oh,
Yeah.
something wrong? I'll fix it. I'll find it. I'm like, bro, relax. Like,
Like, I didn't want to say it kind of gave me an ick, but like I'm like, you know what? like you said, she's into it, so it's fine. It's
Yeah.
just like it's so much.
Yeah,
Right?
it's almost
Yeah.
Rita level of like, yes, my embrace.
But it's, I think that goes back to what Minhas was saying before. Is he's like an all or nothing kind of guy.
It's
Yeah.
true.
That's fair.
But then what's the difference between him and Skull, really?
Well, okay, so
He's
this
successful.
is my perception of like romances in television and movies is like any like rom-com you watch or any like romance you see on television is only conditionally fine because like it's like they're both interested in one another, but like
Mhm.
actions in a vacuum are just weird.
Yeah,
Right.
Right.
if
for sure.
if I write a poem for my wife prior to us dating, that's freaky. That's insane. That's a lot of time and effort you got to put for somebody that you don't know. But in a movie sense, sometimes like, oh, that's romantic
Right.
and sweet.
Yeah.
It's all context. I think it's
For
I
sure.
think Bulk has his moments, but Tommy is the guy. Tommy is that dude
Yeah.
for Kim, and she's cool with him, so that's fine. I guess.
Yeah.
it's all context.
It is all good. It's not like Skull is unattractive, right?
No,
Like Tommy
yeah,
is a very good-looking guy. Yeah, but Skull is
Yeah.
actually pretty attractive as well.
think
I don't know, yeah.
His mannerisms and the way that he contorts himself makes him less appealing.
Maybe.
But
Yeah.
that's probably just for comedic effect.
he
Yeah.
does. Like, spoiler: he does have kids in the future.
Yeah.
He
So-
does have kids in the future.
He does
There,
have kids in the
yeah,
future.
a lot of people fan theorize it's Kimberly's because nobody ever says who the mother is.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So
Redemption
there's a lot of fanon saying that it's Kimberly's kid.
Okay.
Who knows?
So who knows? There's also fanon for like Jason and Kim ended together too. Like we know it's not Kim and Tommy. Like that's it. That's the only thing we know.
wow.
Ah,
I
this
just
is
looked
just
up
like
his-
this
I
is
just
just
looked
like
up
Kai and
Skull's
Sora
kids.
from Digimon.
Ty and Sora
I
from
looked up
Digimon.
Skull's kids on AO3 and it's all written by someone named Minhas? Weird. Okay.
You know the last episode when it was just Tommy and Jason? I was like, Minas is probably having a field day today.
I didn't want to mention it though. Like
Especially the end.
That's
oh god.
When you said you watched that scene like 5 times, I was like, I could totally see it.
Yeah.
It was just a fist bump. It didn't make sense.
Oh, there's a scene where they fall and then they're like looking at each other.
That's funny.
Oh my god. Yeah, but I tried to hold some form of decor this episode. I'm like, Minhas, you can't do this every time.
I do find it funny again. Like this is a show marketed towards kids, targeted for kids. But like here are these two dudes with their shirts off and they're like glistening, and I'm just like, what's going on here? Like, what is this show? I'm so confused.
What's the agenda?
Yeah,
What is the agenda? Well, I think about that in Lost Galaxy all the time.
yeah.
Who is this one?
But see, yeah, but like that. Yeah, Lost Galaxy was just so like obvious with it. Like they didn't even acknowledge. Like they were just like, this is how we do competitions, apparently, right? Like we just shirts off and just like do our thing, you know? Like okay, I guess. Whereas like
That's
Lost
how
Galaxy,
you know it's a good show. They got some for the kids. They got some for the parents. It's all
True.
good.
You gotta keep the parents roped in.
The parents had a lot of issues with this show, actually. So
Yeah. But that concludes this week's episode of Once a Ranger. Next week we have a series part, Island of Illusion, which is a very good also series arc we're very excited for. And then we're also going to have a mini side thing with just me, Nick, and Nev talking about the special, because I think we can go into more detail than we did in the last one. No offense to Akil.
None taken. I suggested it.
Yeah. It just so we'll have that, and then we'll see you guys next time on Once a Ranger. I'm Minhas. I'm joined with Akil, Nev, and Nick. Until next time.
Bye.
Bye.
Once a Ranger, always a Ranger.